So, reasons for Treasury review. 3 broad categories, and I'll break them down into 2 subcategories from there on. So the first reason is Treasury Department change. So there's either going to be a new CFO, new leadership, director, treasurer, and so forth, or a merger or acquisition. That's the reason for a Treasury review. Now, on the other side of that spectrum is a very static Treasury Department. So a Treasury Department that's had very stable Treasury personnel, which in general is a very good thing. But when it comes to implementing new ideas, may not be such a great thing. Or outdated Treasury technology. And then the third reason is regulatory. Now, whether that's coming from the board or C-level requests, or whether it's the government regulations like Sarbanes-Oxley 404 documentations. So we'll talk briefly about each of these. So reason number 1, there's change in the Treasury Department, there's new leadership, there's a new CFO, there's a new treasurer or a new director of Treasury. From the day they start, they are responsible for cash management and treasury. There is a large learning curve when you're working within a large organization, let's say $1 billion+ in annual revenue, to get all of that information in a concise manner. So conducting a Treasury review is a great way for senior management to learn about all of the great things that Treasury management is doing currently and all of the areas where there may be opportunity to help him or her prioritize their strategies moving forward. So the actual review will be an independent opinion of current operations. Again, if you have a team of people on board, whether that be internal audit, IT, and so forth, they're giving an opinion. We provide recommendations for improvements, saying, yes, we can consolidate bank accounts, or we can implement new technology. You can review Treasury workload allocation. What we have found at TreaSolution is that oftentimes inefficiencies at organizations is not best practice related, and it's not technology related, it's workload allocation related. What does that mean? There may be a cash manager, for instance, who just doesn't like to allocate certain responsibilities. Now, there are certain responsibilities that a cash manager cannot allocate, but there are certain responsibilities that they can. And it's that person might want to be that center of Treasury. So not effectively allocating workload is a worst practice, if you will. Again, help senior management prioritize what projects they undertake, and then provide a cost and time estimate. So we want to take on a new Treasury technology of some sort or another. How much would it cost? How much resources would be required from both the monetary and the personnel point of view? Second reason, a merger, consolidation of some sort or another. You want to, when you're doing a Treasury review in this regard, you want to review both organizations' Treasury and cash management environment. And the reason why is because even though your organization may be working well in regards to its cash operations, you purchased or are merging with that company, I'm guessing because of the fact that they're a competitor. And they probably were trying to do things as well as you too. So you might want to look at the way that they were doing cash too, because it very well might be that they have a better way of doing it, or a better technology that you can utilize, or better internal controls that you can adopt. So look at both environments. It doesn't always have to be, this is the way we do it, therefore we're going to adopt it because we're merging or we're acquiring. It could be, okay, let's look at both of these environments and make it the best of the two. Highlight potential bottlenecks again. So if you have 2 bank relationships, if you have duplicative services, duplicative bank account functionality, you can highlight potential bottlenecks, make recommendations to change and improve those bottlenecks, and then review the compatibility of Treasury technology. So if one Treasury department is using one Treasury workstation, for instance, and the other is using another, how are they compatible? Do you keep them separate? How do you integrate them? How do you integrate them with the ERP system or with your accounting system? So you want to look at all of those granular technical details in order to ensure that you're putting together a strategic roadmap for this merger and integration. So reason number 3, stable Treasury personnel. Again, normally this is a great thing. You have dedicated resources that come to work and are resourceful and are committed to your Treasury Department. But on the other hand, you often get, this is the way it's always been done around. The old, if it's not broken, let's not fix it. So Treasury review oftentimes will provide a new perspective and be that catalyst for change when you have a stable Treasury Department. Reason number 4. This is my most favorite slide because I think the first Treasury workstation I ever worked on was one of these.
Yep.
Actually a green screen. But if you have out-of-date Treasury technology. So if you actually do have a green screen or a DOS Treasury workstation, this might be for you. But anyways, old technology. So there's a cost associated with old technology. The cost is that oftentimes there are complicated processes involved with old technology. Oftentimes it's expensive to maintain. Oftentimes if it's an outdated technology, it's not being maintained from the vendor anymore, so you're maintaining it internally with someone from IT, and if that person from IT were to leave, what happens? Then you look at the whole opportunity cost. Is this old technology up to date with best practices? Chances are it's not. So, if you're using old technology, it might be a great idea to do a Treasury review to see if new technology is an option. Some of the things that you can incorporate with new technology is improved automation. You can find efficiencies, improved internal controls. Oftentimes there's greater reporting. The best practices are implemented quicker when you're buying, especially an off-the-shelf system of one sort or another. So these are ideas that you can consider when looking at the Treasury review. You want to look at your technology too, because technology can really enable your Treasury department to become more efficient and secure. Reason number 5. C-level or board-level requests. Oftentimes, when a board or a CFO or CEO is requesting a review of Treasury, it's not because something good happened. So you have to come on board and you look, again, at the internal controls side of things. You look at where their separation of duties are, how the bank relationships are set up, how the tools within the bank relationships are being utilized, and so forth. So again, it will provide a status of current operations and needed upgrades. Strategic information, oftentimes a Treasury review can assist with budgeting. So if there's going to be a large capital expenditure in the Treasury area, this is a tool that they can utilize to help budget for that. And which again goes along with Treasury personnel, bank relationships with new services, or the technology side. And then this reason number 6 is sort of falling by the wayside, but still I think pertinent, is Sarbanes-Oxley compliance with Section 404 documentation. Specifically looking at the documentation of internal controls. So this isn't the official review of internal controls for 404, but any review of internal controls is helpful. And as long as you're making sure that the separation of duties are in place and that you're running a secure environment from both your processes and technology point of view, then that's a good thing for Treasury, a good thing for cash management. So it can help you implement best practices. And again, when you're doing a Treasury review and you're documenting all of the processes, it helps with disaster recovery. Because if there is a problem, you have your processes documented. And you can utilize that during a disaster recovery.